Hello, everyone. My name is Eloisa Ramos, and I'm here with my friend Connie. Hi, Connie.
Hello.
And we are studying the Course in Miracles, and we are working on the text, Chapter 6, Section 1, The Message of the Crucifixion. This is a really long section. I think we'll probably end up doing 2 parts to it, but we can start and see how far we go today. So paragraph 1. For learning purposes, let us consider the crucifixion again. I did not dwell on it before because of the fearful connotations you may associate with it. The only emphasis laid upon it so far has been that it was not a form of punishment. Nothing, however, can be explained in negative terms only. There is a positive interpretation of the crucifixion that is wholly devoid of fear and therefore wholly benign in what it teaches, if it is properly understood. Okay, and remember in the introduction, it said that that anger and it was clear to see that anger and attack, were associated, but not so much anger and fear. And so when we think about anger, we tend to think of it as a form of punishment, right?
Mhm.
So I could say in the example I gave last time, okay, you disrespected me, you're supposed to be my friend, and you said da 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 whatever about me, and that made me look bad or whatever, and or it was a lie or whatever. And so I feel justified in my anger, and therefore, I'm going to feel justified in not talking to you because that's punishment. Okay, so you could say that I'm going to crucify you for what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
what it's saying here is that a lot of times when we look at the crucifixion, uh, because it's suffering and it's painful, we associate it with punishment.
Mhm.
Um, but it's also saying that there's another way to look at it, okay? And that's looking at it from a place that is wholly devoid of fear, which means that it's not looking at it from the ego thought system, because the ego thought system is always a thought system of fear. So it's coming from another side of perception, which is wholly benign in what it teaches, if it is properly understood. Okay, so it has to be properly understood.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it can be misunderstood. And then it will become fearful. Okay, so number 2, Connie.
All right. The crucifixion is nothing more than an extreme example. Its value, like the value of any teaching device, lies solely in the kind of learning it facilitates. It can be and has been misunderstood. This is only because the fearful are apt to perceive fearfully. I have already told you that you can always call on me to share my decision and thus make it stronger. I have also told you that the crucifixion was the last useless journey the sonship need take, and that it represents release from fear to anyone who understands it. While I emphasized only the resurrection before, the purpose of the crucifixion and how it actually led to the resurrection was not clarified then. Nevertheless, it has a definite contribution to make to your own life, and if you will consider it without fear, it will help you understand your own role as a teacher.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so so we have we have the Bible, we have the New Testament, and so this is talking about how the crucifixion in the New Testament is nothing more than an extreme example. Um, and its value, like the value of any teaching device, lies solely in the kind of learning it facilitates. Um, so what he's saying is that the crucifixion is a teaching device, okay? Because when you think about the crucifixion, it was um, a painful thing that happened to him um, as a self with a body.
Mhm.
um, and um, and so what he's saying is that the body, just like we believe we are here and have a body, can be used as a learning device. It can be an instrument of communication. So Jesus is using his experience in the physical world as a teaching device, and the body is the communication, the instrument. Because what we were saying last time is that, what we do, and we do it with the body, is the effect, the result of what we believe. And that's what people see, and that's what they can learn from that example. 3, however, it can be and has been misunderstood. And of course, anything anything that we do can be misunderstood because people are going to interpret it through their own belief lens.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, and number 4, this is only because the fearful are apt to perceive fearfully.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we are fearful, we're going to misinterpret events fearfully because the mind reflects onto the world and then perceives that which it has projected as a reflection back.
Mhm.
Um, so 5, I have already told you that you can always call on me to share my decision and thus make it stronger. Okay, well, the decision that Jesus made was to have faith in the thought system of God, and to not identify, not even to not consider at all the ego thought system. He was able to completely recognize only what is true and not believe anything that is not true, which is fear-based. So that was his decision. And he's saying, you can share my decision. Okay, I made that decision. We're one mind and you can share it. And when you do, we're making that decision stronger for everybody else to share. And that's what happens in the world too. We look at what people are doing, and you look at the trendsetters, especially young people, they look at the so-called celebrities or influencers, right? And so they kind of take their cue from them. So he's saying, well, you can take, you can learn from me and kind of um, share my decision, and then we make that decision stronger. Um, I have also told you that the crucifixion was the last useless journey the sonship need
Mhm.
make.
Mhm.
Mhm. And that it represents release from fear to anyone who understands it. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's for the sonship. So it's a capital S. So that crucifixion, what he's saying is, the lesson that can be learned from the crucifixion is that it need not be. You do not need to suffer and be crucified. Okay. Okay. Because we are one self. There is no separation. That's the sonship. Okay. And that's gonna be a release from fear to anyone who understands it, because you don't have to be afraid of being attacked. You cannot be attacked. Okay. And death itself is not an attack. Okay. There's the resurrection, because you are not a body. Okay. So he subjected himself to this journey as a body to prove that we are not a body. Okay. And so you don't have to keep coming back. It's a useless journey here to incarnate as a body. Okay. But you can if you want to. But if you really learn the lesson of the crucifixion, you will recognize that you cannot be attacked, and that you are not a body, and that you are not separate. You are still as God created you. One sonship, one creation, one self. And that's the end of fear, basically, because there's no one else that can attack you. It's just one self, one sonship. So 7, while I emphasized only the resurrection before, the purpose of the crucifixion and how it actually led to the resurrection was not clarified then. Nevertheless, and but what he means by then is he means in the New Testament, in yeah. So nevertheless, it has a definite contribution to make to your own life. And if you will consider it without fear, because the way that we learned it through the New Testament, it's definitely fearful, um, and but he's saying, if you will consider looking at it this way, it will be without fear, and it will help you understand your own role as a teacher. Okay, because then you won't be afraid that you're going to get crucified just like Jesus did. If you're a teacher, right? If you're going to teach love and you're going to teach truth, and then you say, oh man, well, that's what got Jesus killed. There's going to be fear there. So why would I want to teach that if I think that that was the cause of him, getting crucified? So yeah. Okay, number 3. You have probably reacted for years as if you were being crucified. This is a marked tendency of the separated, who always refuse to consider what they have done to themselves. Projection means anger. Anger fosters assault, and assault promotes fear. The real meaning of the crucifixion lies in the apparent intensity of the assault of some of the sons of God upon another. This, of course, is impossible and must be fully understood as impossible. Otherwise, I cannot serve as a model for learning. Okay. All right. You have probably reacted for years as if you were being crucified. So yeah, we do. We we want pity. I am, you are the attacker and I am the victim. And, poor sweet baby me. And I deserve your sympathy and your pity. And I am entitled to you, to your apology. I am entitled to you making it up to me. Okay. I know my kids used to say that to me. Well, Mom, you picked me up late from school, or, can you take me to McDonald's? So they would ask for stuff. So in other words, they would use anything that I failed to do correctly as a parent as an opportunity to ask for things that I would normally not give them. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So this is the marked tendency of the separated who always refuse to consider what they have done to themselves. So of course they blame me. Okay. So, and now you have to pay restitution, mom. You know, that's kind of the way we have the justice system set up here. So we don't,
Tit for tat.
yes, exactly. And so we don't consider that we are doing it to ourselves.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and that's what projection is. So number 3 is projection means anger. Okay. So I believe that I am entitled to being angry at you, and therefore anger fosters assault. Therefore, I think that I am justified in not talking to you. I'm going to punish you. Okay. That's an attack. Or I'm going to restrict you or whatever, however I, decide to punish you. And that assault promotes fear. Okay, because now the other person's going to be afraid that my love is conditional. Obviously, my love is
Mhm.
conditional. Okay, if you don't do exactly what you don't, if you don't show your love exactly how I want it, um,
Mhm.
I have the right to exclude you or put you down or belittle you or punish you or whatever. Um, so there's going to be fear. And the real meaning of the crucifixion lies in the apparent intensity of the assault of some of the sons of God upon another. And this, of course, is impossible and must be fully understood as impossible. Okay, so the idea of intensity is the idea of degrees. And remember that the miracle says there are no degree of difficulty. And that's why cruelty, the effects of a lack of love are irrelevant to the miracle. So irregardless of whether we have a situation of assault like crucifixion, which is very intense on the body, or whether it's simply that will not, I will block your number and no longer take your phone calls. You know, um, the the intensity of the assault is irrelevant to the assault. It's still an assault. So at least I will perceive that I have attacked you, or I will perceive that I have been attacked. Um, and and that's what this is saying. It's saying, no, you cannot be attacked. This is impossible. It doesn't matter the degree or the intensity. What is attacked is not the true self, and what suffers is not the true self. And so Jesus understood his true self to be spirit, one with God, and um, and not the self that apparently suffers intensity. Um, because we can think of attack as impact on the body. So we generally say, well, okay, that was a very gentle, little squeeze on the hand. Oh, that was a loving gesture. Okay, but now you've crushed my hand. Well, that's an attack now. Okay, so there's an intensity there where there's a loving gesture, and now there's a excruciating attack. So um, so what it's saying is, don't fall into the idea that there's a level of qualification for what assault is, for what attack is. Okay, if you're going to believe in attack, it's the intensity of it is not going to change it and not be an attack. And the miracle is not going to, because the miracle does not see it. It only sees the error. It doesn't see the degree of the error. Um, So let's see. So what is impossible is that you can be attacked, and this must be fully understood as impossible. Otherwise, I cannot serve as a model for learning. Okay, because otherwise we're going to believe that Jesus, the Son of God, was attacked in the crucifixion. Okay, was assaulted in the crucifixion, and therefore, how can he be the Son of God? We're going to believe that God can be attacked. Okay, and if God is all powerful, how can that be possible? Well, we're going to have to believe, we're going to have to distort the truth, what is true.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
that's a huge difference from how it's interpreted. It's just, yeah, backwards.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, that he could be attacked. All right. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, and therefore he was vulnerable and he was weak.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. So number 4.
Assault can ultimately be made only on the body, the ego. There is little doubt that one body can assault another and can even destroy it. Yet, if destruction itself is impossible, anything that is destructible cannot be real.
Mhm.
Its destruction, therefore, does not justify anger. To the extent to which you believe that it does, you are accepting false premises and teaching them to others. The message the crucifixion was intended to teach was that it is not necessary to perceive any form of assault in persecution because you cannot be persecuted. If you respond with anger, you must be equating yourself with the destructible and are therefore regarding yourself insanely.
Mhm. Yeah. Yes. So what's it saying, Connie?
Well, assault is impossible unless we're coming from, the egoic stance of being a body or being in a body.
Exactly.
We
Eh,
cannot be destroyed.
yes. And that's what the ego thought system teaches. It teaches us to believe that we are a body and that we are destructible, and therefore we should protect the body, right? We should invest heavily in survival. Um, and and therefore we could not be as God created us, which is an eternal self, an eternal spirit, because the two systems cannot be reconciled. So either God created us in the likeness of God as eternal spirit, or if we were made as a body that is destructible, then we have lost our eternal nature somehow. We have separated from God, who is still eternal, and we are no longer like our creator. And we really can't have it both ways, even though we go back and forth and we're trying to reconcile both of the thought systems. They cannot be reconciled.
Right.
Yeah, because only one is true. So that's what happens. So yes, so either we will believe that we are a body, and yes, bodies do assault and can destroy each other. But to spirit, destruction itself is impossible. And therefore, anything that is destructible cannot be real. Okay. And that's, I think, kind of for me, the core belief that is probably the most difficult to let go of.
Mhm.
Because we're so used to equating ourselves with a body as ourself. That's how we think of ourselves. And what we feel, we tend to feel in terms of a vibration in the body. So that seems to indicate that the body is sort of consciousness, where we feel things, where we experience things. And so it seems as if the ego consciousness is in the body. So we identify with the body, with the ego, but that's not what we are. So, but 5, to the extent to which you believe that it does, you're accepting false premises and teaching them to others. So, and this is a real hard one because see number 4, it's destruction, like in war, therefore does not justify anger. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that you don't have you don't have compassion. You do have compassion because anger is coming from the ego thought system. But you can offer compassion and you can offer love in any form that's, helpful,
Mhm.
truly helpful. But you want to be coming from the perception of the Holy Spirit, which is true perception, to be able to be truly helpful to people that are suffering through war, through, through hurricanes, through, earthquakes, through destruction, through death, through any of that. So we don't want to teach false premises, and that does not mean that we don't act, when there's a tragedy. It just means that we don't project blame and we don't attack with anger because we are projecting blame. So we don't add, tragedy unto tragedy. So we don't add attack unto attack, basically.
Mm.
So the message the crucifixion was intended to teach was that it is not necessary to perceive any form of assault in persecution, because you cannot be persecuted. So Jesus was crucified because he taught differently than the norm, the belief system that was the norm at that time. And so we don't need to see we don't need to perceive any form of assault and persecution. So so to be punished for what you believe or what you teach is not an assault, it's not an attack, okay, because you cannot be persecuted, because the true self, okay, the true self does not suffer. The true self never loses the presence of love. The true self never I mean, even in the cross, when Jesus was agonizing, he said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. So even then, he was not projecting guilt. He was not expressing anger. Okay, because he could stay in the presence of love, even going through this experience, because he knew without any doubt what he was, and he was eternal spirit. He was not that body that was crucified, and so the perception of suffering is coming from the place of believing we're a body. And that's what it's saying. 7, if you respond with anger, you must be equating yourself with the destructible and are therefore regarding yourself insanely. Mhm. Yeah. because we will believe that we have been attacked, and the only thing that can be attacked is the body. So, yeah. Okay. Okay, number 5. I have made it perfectly clear that I am like you and you are like me. But our fundamental equality can be demonstrated only through joint decision. You are free to perceive yourself as persecuted if you choose. When you do choose to react that way, however, you might remember that I was persecuted as the world judges and did not share this evaluation for myself. And because I did not share it, I did not strengthen it, and therefore offered a different interpretation of attack, and one which I want to share with you. If you will believe it, you will help me teach it. Okay, so Jesus is saying, okay, we're not different here. I am like you and you are like me. But this equality, which is fundamental, okay, because it's God-given, it's fundamental, can be demonstrated only through joint decision. So I also have to join in his decision for God's thought system, for love. 2, you are free to perceive yourself as persecuted if you choose. Yes, we are free to see ourselves, to perceive ourselves any way we want. We can see ourselves through the eyes of the ego or through the Holy Spirit vision. And when you choose to react that way and perceive yourself as persecuted, okay, you might remember that I was, of course, persecuted as the world judges. But I did not agree with that. I did not share in that evaluation for myself. So we don't have to believe the judgments of how others see us. That evaluation is not, it's up to us to choose, to decide what we want to believe is true about ourselves. Okay. And so because, number 4, because I did not share it, I did not strengthen it. Okay. Yes. So we don't just, by choosing love, we don't just strengthen love, we also not strengthen the ego thought system. Yeah. 5, I therefore offered a different interpretation of attack, and one which I want to share with you. If you will believe it, you will help me teach it. Okay, so let's see what that interpretation is. 6.
Okay, as I have said before, quote, unquote, as you teach, so shall you learn. If you react as if you are persecuted, you are teaching persecution. This is not a lesson a son of God should want to teach if he is to realize his own salvation. Rather, teach your own perfect immunity, which is the truth in you, and realize that it cannot be assailed. Do not try to protect it yourself, or you are believing that it is assailable. You were not asked to be crucified, which was part of my own teaching contribution. You are merely asked to follow my example in the face of much less extreme temptations to misperceive, and not to accept them as false justifications for anger. There can be no justification for the unjustifiable. Do not believe there is, and do not teach that there is. Remember always that what you believe, you will teach. Believe with me, and we will become equal as teachers.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to add anything there, Connie?
No, you got it.
All right. Okay. So, as you teach, so shall you learn. So we reinforce our learning by teaching. Okay. And that's how the ego thought system works too. And that's why it's so entrenched.
Ah. Hmm.
Okay. Because we practice unforgiveness quite a bit. And so that's what we learn. But if we teach love, that's what we learn too, that's what we are. And that's what everyone is. So if you react as if you are persecuted, you are teaching persecution. Yes, because you know that's what kids pick up from their parents. You may be saying something to them, but it's your reactions that are really teaching them what you believe. You know, a lot of times parents said, well, no, don't um, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, well, the child, that's not how learning works. Okay, you teach through what you do. So, so 3, this is not a lesson a son of God should want to teach if he is to realize his own salvation. Yes, we don't we want to be saved from the belief in attack and persecution. So why would we want to react as if we were persecuted, as if we were attacked? That's fearful, and we want to be saved from fear and from attack. So rather teach your own perfect immunity, okay, which is truth in you. Okay, so perfect immunity says, you know, whatever it is that is done, and it can be unloving, okay, I still am responsible for how I interpret that, and therefore for my reaction. Um, and and therefore I don't have to um, believe that you're attacking me. I can see that you are calling for love. And that's what the Course teaches. That's basically what the Course teaches, that anyone that is acting unloving is actually calling for love. And that way of looking at it evokes compassion rather than a reaction of, okay, this person's a threat to me. And so so realize that our perfect immunity cannot be assailed. So our mind cannot be attacked, and our mind cannot attack, because the decision-making power is always the way that we're going to look at the situation and interpret the situation. And that's what is the cause of our reactions. Okay, so do not try to protect it yourself, or you're believing that it is assailable. Okay, yes, so the truth does not need to be protected. So in other words, you know, maybe we say something and it strikes someone, it offends someone because they believe differently. Okay, and they get pretty upset about it, and they're, you know, they get angry at us. And if we then try to defend and protect ourselves, then we are believing that that what is truth needs to be protected, and therefore is weak and vulnerable. So the truth doesn't need to be protected, and that's what we are. we are part, in truth we are, you know, part of God, that is the truth, as love. So 6, you are not asked to be crucified, which was part of my own teaching contribution. Okay, Jesus signed up for that. That was his own teaching contribution. That was the script that he came here to play out as a teacher. You are asked to follow my example in the face of much less extreme temptations to misperceive. Okay, so we don't have to go through what he went through, okay, but we are going to go through situations where, you know, we will be tempted to misperceive people's behavior and misperceive it as an attack when it's a call for love. So do not accept them as false justifications for anger. Okay, so if the person's angry, don't accept that and say, well, I'm justified to return anger with anger. Okay, because there can be no justification for the unjustifiable. And the Course is very, very clear on that. Anger is never justified, okay, because anger implies an identification with the body that needs to be protected from attack. So it's never justified because it's a delusional to believe that we are a body that needs protection. Yeah, do not believe there is, and do not teach that there is. Remember always that what you believe, you will teach. Believe with me and we will become equal as teachers. So yeah, I'm not a body, I am free, I am as God created me. And that's what Jesus is saying. Believe this with me and we will become equal as teachers. Okay, so let's see, we're on 7. This might be a good place.
Yeah.
Stop. Yes, Connie? Okay.
Yeah, good.
Good. Okay, well, thank you, everyone, and we'll continue with paragraph 7 next time. Bye.